Alright, 2022 was one of the most crazy year I have had in my life. It was the year I decided to take filmmaking and photography serious. I decided to quit my full-time job and go traveling the world and pursue this dream of mine to become a full-time travel filmmaker and photographer. And along the way I learned tons of stuff that I wish I would have known beforehand. So if you are a person who thinks about going traveling for a longer time, maybe a few months or maybe even a year, this video is for you, as I will talk about some of the things I've learned along the way this year. So let's just get into the first thing. Lesson number 1. Traveling alone is good, but traveling with people is great. So this is something I learned pretty recently. Most of my travels in 2022 has been solo traveling around, and I really love it. So I myself am a pretty introverted person, and I usually don't go up to strangers to talk to them. So in the beginning of my travels, I prioritized to stay at hotels and homestays where I would have my own room, and I kind of thought that I could use it for editing and filming and for the videos and the content I was creating while traveling. And the first week was pretty nice since I was still able to experience the world and I didn't get out of my comfort zone, so I felt quite good in the beginning. But I mean, already after a week, I felt like I was missing something. And I pretty quickly realized that I missed the feeling of sharing the experiences with someone. And I thought that I would only get this feeling if I was sharing it with someone I already knew in the beginning. Probably because I was introverted and I was talking myself out of meeting new people. But after 2 weeks, I decided to get out of my comfort zone and book my first stay at a hostel in Lisbon. And this was probably the best decision I could make in the beginning of my travels, since it kind of saved the rest of my travels for 2022. So I checked into the hostel in Lisbon, and I'm not lying when I say it. There probably went 15 minutes by and I was already having a conversation with the guy, and we went out to get some food together and we got to know each other. And by the way, I ended up traveling Lisbon with this guy for 2 weeks. And only after a week or two, the loneliness I had in the beginning was completely gone, and I now had someone to share my travels with. And not only that, I got to experience all the things I wanted and also to make friends from all around the world. And this is something I continue to do throughout the year, and I now have so many friends that I can meet up with if I go to where they're staying or where they're traveling, because usually some of them are just like me and want to travel the world and see the world, and also some of them are making content, so it's so great to meet up with a lot of like-minded people. When that is said, I still would encourage you guys to go and do solo traveling if you don't have anyone to travel with in the beginning, but think about where you're staying and what you want to do, because if you are staying all by yourself at hotels, it can get very lonely, and I really felt that the first 2 weeks. So for me to stay at the hostels really helped me along the way, and also just made my travels way better because I got so many new friends and had someone to share my experiences with. Lesson number 2 is being grateful about every day. I'm a hard believer in doing what you really enjoy doing instead of settling and doing something you have to do to get through the day. And that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. But one thing that took me a long time was to be grateful for who I am and where I am at the moment. When I first started traveling, my focus was to get the shot. And if you know this phrase, you know what I'm talking about. But basically it is, you have a specific shot or a specific destination in your mind, and you go there, you get the shot as you talked about, and then for me at least it was just that, and then you left after you got the shot you wanted. And after I was getting the shot, I was already thinking about the next destination I was going to tomorrow, instead of actually thinking about where I am and enjoying the moment, because usually the shots I was getting was at extremely beautiful locations like Madeira or the Faroe Islands or the Philippines, and I was just thinking about the next day instead of actually being in the present and thinking about where I am today and enjoying what I'm doing currently. And I remember especially one day at Nusa Penida, close to Bali, where I really realized what I was doing and where I was. I was traveling with this group of content creators and filmmakers as well, and we had just finished up shooting the shots we wanted, and if I was to be there myself, I would probably just have left and drove back home. But instead we decided to sit there for like 30 minutes to 45 minutes just to enjoy the sunset, and right when we did that, the bats came flying out, and it was just an insane memory overall, but also just really grateful that we actually stayed there for 30 minutes just to listen to music. We all turned off the cameras and just sat there and enjoyed the sunset for 30 to 45 minutes. So the lesson here is to be grateful for what you have and where you are. Don't think too much about the past or the future, but try to stay in the present And I think you quickly realize how much more you will enjoy all the small things in life. Lesson 3. Everyone is different, and that's a good thing. If I'm being totally honest now, I have always been a big pleaser. And if you don't know what that means I have kind of put other people before myself and kind of just agreeing with what other people think instead of telling my own opinion. But by doing this, you kind of lose your own personality and become like the people you hang around with. And traveling has really opened up the realization for me to being able to say what you mean and what you think and having your own opinions and beliefs. While traveling, you meet so many different people from different countries with different languages, different cultures, but also different beliefs. And one of the things I really took from this was that just because you believe in different things and you have different languages and cultures, you will probably have something to talk about anyways, and you will also talk to someone that probably has a different perspective on life than you, and if you want to, you can learn a lot from that. Traveling has, at least for me, opened up my eyes for that it's a really good thing that we are all different and we all believe in different things. Because if we were all the same and none of us were unique, then life would be pretty boring, right? Lesson 4. Experiences is more valuable than stuff are. In the past, I've always been a big sucker of materialistic stuff, and to some degree I still am. I love buying the best and newest camera, always getting the top-end computer, and I love going all in when I have to invest in something new. But after this year, I've become way more thoughtful about what I spend my money on, and I don't go out and buy more expensive clothing, and I kind of try to save my money when traveling because that allows me to travel even more and I can spend my money on experiences instead of new clothing that I probably don't need but just want. I just personally think that you grow way more as a person with experiences, and you don't have to fly somewhere as I've done this year. It can also just be spending money on going out for dinner with your friends instead of spending it on a new pair of shoes that you don't really need. So for me at least, it is way more valuable to spend my money on experiences or myself than it is to go out and buy a new pair of shoes or a new jacket. Lesson 5. Find like-minded people in your life. Imagine traveling to a new country for the first time with like-minded people who does the same thing, who has the same drive as you and want to achieve the same thing as you. I have always thought that this was something that was almost impossible to do, and you would have to be really lucky to find people that think like you and want to do the same thing as you. But I was really wrong when I say this. This is one of the positive things about social media in my opinion. Being able to connect with people from all around the world with just a few clicks on your phone. It has never been easier to find people who does the same thing as you and want to be doing the same thing as you than it is now. So I, for example, traveled Bali with a group of people I've never met in my life for 1.5 months just because one of the people in the group took the initiative to actually post on this platform called FieldSpace that if someone wanted to join her on her trip to Bali, then just let her know and we could figure something out. And I can highly recommend using FieldSpace if you're into filmmaking, and you should definitely go check it out if you are a filmmaker who wants to meet like-minded people. And I can confidently say that the 1.5 months I had in Bali was some of the best times I have ever had. Just being able to wake up every day, having people around you that do the same thing as you and are as driven as you to do what you're doing, is just some of the best feeling is in the world, and you get to do what you love every day. Not only that, you have someone to share your work with, and you can learn so much from people in the same industry as you, especially because they probably know something you don't and you probably know something they don't, so you can kind of teach each other a lot of stuff. And I can only recommend going out to find the communities and reach out to people to travel with, and this is definitely something I'm going to do in the future. I already have a trip planned with 2 strangers I never have met, but it's both filmmakers and photographers, and I'm looking forward to the trip so much right now. So I really hope you liked this video, and I know it was a very long rant about traveling, but I just wanted to get it out of my heart because I really think this is one of the most valuable years I've had in my life. I've learned so much about myself, but also about the world, and I've really gotten a different look on the world from traveling. So I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, I would really appreciate if you would consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like down below.